Max was 29, tall, broad-shouldered, with deep-set hazel eyes that had seen more than most men his age. His face bore the quiet fatigue of someone who had spent too many nights scanning horizons for threats that never came, and too many mornings loading rifles just in case they did. A scar ran down the side of his jaw, not from battle, but from a motorcycle crash back home in Texas. Still, it gave him the kind of weathered presence that fit this unforgiving terrain. He had been stationed at the garrison for 5 months now. Most of his days were routine, supply checks, rotating shifts, idle conversations under desert stars. But nights were different, especially the ones when he was assigned to watch the mountain pass near the edge of the wire. There, with only his rifle, a radio, and the sound of wind curling through the rocks, something felt ancient. The land whispered to itself. It was on one of those nights that he first saw her. She emerged from between the stones as if born from the earth itself. A girl, or something that resembled one, wrapped in flowing garments, her long black hair dancing in the wind. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim moonlight, and her movements were unnaturally graceful. She didn't speak, but her presence wrapped around Max like smoke. He should have been alarmed, should have called it in, but instead, something inside him unraveled. He felt drawn to her, as if the night had reached out and touched him through her skin. They met again and again. What began as fascination became obsession, and what followed in the shadows of those mountains blurred the line between human and otherworldly. The meetings turned intimate. She was impossibly beautiful, hauntingly quiet, and cold to the touch like mist over a grave. Yet Max, despite the silence and strangeness, gave himself to her. In the nearby village, the elders said nothing, but eyes watched. Soon, an old mullah, who often wandered the village paths, approached Max unexpectedly one afternoon. There was no confrontation, only a quiet exchange in broken English and Pashto, followed by ritual incense and whispered prayers behind closed doors. The mullah gave him something, a small, crude talisman wrapped in cloth, smelling of rosewater and ash. The following night, Max returned to his post in the mountains. He waited. She came again, gliding between the rocks with her ethereal beauty and ghost-like presence. But this time, she stopped just beyond reach, eyes wide with sorrow and fury. Her form shimmered, flickered, recoiled. She whispered words that twisted the air, but she could not approach. She wept. Then, she vanished into the dark, a scream lost in the wind. The next morning, a murmur spread through the village like wildfire. The mullah had been found hanged in his small stone house, his own turban knotted around his throat, his eyes bulging, mouth open in an expression of terror. And Max, he never spoke of her again. But something in his eyes changed, as if part of him had been left behind in those mountains. The talisman still hung around his neck, and sometimes, just before sleep, he would hear her voice in the rustling wind, calling from the place where the earth meets the sky.